This video is sponsored by NordVPN. NordVPN is the leading virtual private network that protects your online identity, whether you're at an airport, coffee shop, or anywhere. We'll talk more about NordVPN at the end of this video, but for now, let's get on with how to achieve self-mastery from the philosophy of Friedrich Nietzsche. Friedrich Nietzsche is a German philosopher who lived in the second half of the 19th century. He's widely famous for his critique on morality and religion, and also on conventional philosophical ideas. He wrote several books like Thus Spoke Zarathustra, Beyond Good and Evil, The Birth of Tragedy, and The Twilight of the Idols. He also considered himself a psychologist, paving the way to the psychoanalysis of the 20th century, and he is often considered to be among the great modern thinkers, together with Sigmund Freud and Karl Marx. But he's also considered to be a precursor of existentialism, highlighting the importance of freedom and finding meaning in an otherwise meaningless world. Nietzsche believed that the fundamental drive of all living things is the so-called will to power, which is often seen as the impulse to overcome one's environment, the impulse to grow, expand, and explore. But the greatest power one can possess, in Nietzsche's view, is not the power over people or environment, but the power over your own self. Mastering yourself is the foundation of all the other skills and powers you have, and it's the one you have to focus on first in order to achieve greatness. To help you understand the ways in which you can achieve self-mastery, here are 7 lessons we can learn from the philosophy of Friedrich Nietzsche. Number 1. Obey yourself first. Nietzsche says, "He that cannot obey himself shall be commanded." By contrast with Schopenhauer, who in his pessimistic view believed in a will that directs our entire life and that we're incapable of escaping it, Nietzsche also talked about a will, but he called it the will to power, which is a power meant to overcome resistance. This resistance can be from other people or from the environment. When we don't have enough willpower, it means we're not in control. We lack self-discipline. We can't follow our own plans that we so carefully laid because of some temporary urges, impulses, or emotions. When we can't follow through with our own plans and strategies to win in life, then the other people more in control of their own behavior and with a cooler mind can take advantage of us and end up commanding us. Nietzsche considered 2 types of morality: slave morality and master morality. If you follow a slave morality, you'll be commanded by your community. By peer pressure, you'll be made to doubt yourself, and you'll end up living a shadow life, just going with the flow, not having a real goal in life for yourself. You'll live your life to make other people happy. But if you have clear goals in life and you can obey yourself by following through with your plans and act in the direction of your own dreams, you'll follow a master morality, meaning that you'll be able to act independently from others in the direction of your own dreams. For example, consider that your goal in life is to be a millionaire, but you don't have enough money to invest in your business, and you have to keep your regular job for a while. Your managers at work and your colleagues constantly demand more and more from you, and you cannot simply ignore their demands. You'll forget in time about your initial goal. You'll overcommit to your regular job, accept new promotions and responsibilities. You'll go with the flow, building a career that you don't even want. Your work environment, the circumstances, the people will push you towards a destination you don't want. You are thus commanded. By contrast, if you obey yourself, you would never stay overtime at work. You'd constantly try to reach in your spare time more and more potential investors for your business. You'd educate yourself every day about the business you want to make. You'd never lose sight of your entrepreneurial goal. Obeying yourself is mandatory for achieving anything great in life. Number 2. Strengthen your will. To quote Nietzsche, "I want to make asceticism natural once again." Nietzsche was firmly against the 3 ascetic ideals: poverty, humility, and chastity, and his attack on them was part of his attack on Christianity. However, in his earlier work, he saw some good practical use of so-called natural asceticism. He acknowledged that there is an advantage in one's capability to mastering one's own will. The less you obey your biological and emotional urges, the more free you are. By the practice of asceticism, in the form of abstinence and periods of fasting of all kinds, for example, you gain more control over your own life. You'll learn how to control your biological and emotional urges, giving you a great advantage compared to other people who are just slaves of their instincts. You cannot achieve self-mastery if you cannot resist the temptations to grab that cookie on the plate, or if you can't take alone time for a few weeks to prepare for an important exam, or if you can't stop smoking. For example, if you're struggling to quit smoking, some self-help tips would be to try and think positively. Think that you have the power to really succeed in quitting smoking. Make a real plan. Decide on a date from which you'll stop. Consider changing your diet. And think of what activities you should do to replace smoking, for example, chewing gum, or going for a run, and so on. If you're easily irritated by the demands of others, experiencing a high degree of stress each day, and feeling incapable of going through all the hardship at work, a method to strengthen your will can be through meditation to decrease the stress level of everyday life. Meditation will give you the strength and calmness to push through the hardship without stressing yourself too much. If you're struggling with maintaining concentration at work due to wasting too much time on social media, you could for a few weeks temporarily delete all the social media applications from your phone, avoid social gatherings, and so on. Instead, you can spend this time focusing on practicing a skill or learning something new. These techniques are ways to achieve self-discipline, helping us to become stronger and more in control of our will. Number 3. Master your temper. Nietzsche teaches us, the growth of wisdom may be gauged accurately by the decline of ill temper. If the growth of wisdom can be measured by the decline of ill temper, this implies that by knowing how to control yourself, your moods, you're proven to be a wise person. Nietzsche was all for the idea of self-control, but he didn't believe that we have complete freedom of choice or free will. Indeed, we cannot control our likes and dislikes. We cannot change our personality so quickly. We can't decide what to want and what not to want. But we can control our attitude, our behavior in our journey to reach our goals. By mastering your temper, keeping at bay all the destructive urges like breaking things, shouting at others, or being violent, you'd create a space for your mind to analyze the event from different perspectives before doing anything or before opening your mouth. The more we stop ourselves and think before acting, the more time we have to really evaluate a situation and make better decisions, and thus we become wise. For example, if you're a short-tempered person, always reacting sharply to any injustice or what you perceive as injustice, you might benefit from this teaching. If you're working on a project at your job and you're in charge of a team, you might get particularly frustrated or angry at someone who doesn't do their job properly. If you shout at that person in front of other people for doing a lousy job, you'll make them lose their self-confidence, resulting in them making even more errors, and you would permanently damage your working relationship with them. They may have skills and talents you don't know anything about, which you might be able to use in another project. But since you damaged the relationship, you'd never know about them. If you're wiser, you'd have a private conversation with that person, explain your frustration, give them suggestions on how they can improve, or ask them to think about how to improve. Make a plan together on how to deal with the situation and follow through. In this way, everybody would be happier, working in a more stress-free environment, and not only will you not damage your working relationships, you may actually improve them, and so in turn, even improve the performance of your team in the long run. Number 4. Master your decision-making process. In the words of Nietzsche, acquire power over your yes and no, and learn to hold and withhold them in accordance with your higher aims. Nietzsche wrote that God is dead, which became one of the most famous sentences written by him. The death of God is metaphorical. Nietzsche did not believe in the existence of God, and this death represents the fact that Christian values have weakened. In his book, Thus Spake Zarathustra, Nietzsche described a modern society where the religious values have been weakened. But instead of being replaced by positive and inspiring values, they were replaced by nihilism, a belief that all values are baseless and that nothing can be known or communicated. Thus, for Nietzsche, this death of God is not entirely positive, because the decay of Christian morality has put in danger the entire moral belief system of the Western world. In a world without God, Nietzsche proposed the concept of the overman as a solution to combat the danger of a world decaying into nihilism. The overman is a superior and ideal version of the human being, capable of living a fulfilling life. Such a human being would be a master of himself, capable of conducting his life in the absence of an imposed set of morals. He would be able to set goals and dreams to follow, and when finding himself in a situation where he must choose between different options, he is strong enough to resist the pressure of other people and of the environment, and he is capable of saying no to anything which doesn't serve his higher aims. Nietzsche considered that the greatness of us is that we are a bridge between animals and overman, not an end goal. To be more like the overman, we need to master the way we make decisions in life, as the decisions we make often set the course of our entire lives. We will perhaps never be strong enough to say no all the time, as we live in an interdependent world. But we should try to care more about our goals and learn to say no, at least when the demands are outrageous. To master the skill of decision-making, it is important to first know what your goals are in life. Let's say, for example, you discover that your main life goals are to have enough free time to spend with your family while still having the financial resources to live comfortably and go on the occasional foreign holiday, but you don't care too much about making vast fortunes. Your friend proposes that you join in a business venture, which, while potentially highly profitable, would leave you no time for leisure for several years at least. In this case, as attractive as potential fortunes are, it's not in line with your life goals. You need to have the strength to say no, no matter how tempting his proposal is. Always think of your end goal before committing to anything. Number 5. Master your body. As we learn from Nietzsche, there is more intelligence in your body than in your best wisdom. Many philosophies and religions consider that human beings are split in two, a physical part and a spiritual part. Nietzsche was very much against such a split, considering that we don't pay enough attention to our body, that there is no such thing as another world. It is only this physical world that really exists. Oftentimes, philosophers fantasize of other metaphysical worlds, of a world of ideas separated from this physical reality. Nietzsche proposed an end of these ideal worlds separated from the physical one, and he proposed the returning to the innocence of physicality. The best figure for such a return is Dionysus, the god of wine, embodying the idea that our animal instincts are the root of any form of spirituality. Nietzsche considered himself as the last disciple of Dionysus. Today, science has demonstrated how important it is to have a healthy body and a healthy lifestyle in order to have a healthy mind. We need to feed ourselves well, to have a normal sexual life, to exercise regularly, to spend more time in the sun and fresh air. Our animal nature needs more care and consideration. The more we listen to our body, to its needs and desires, the more balanced we can be in life, and our mind would function much better when given the best physical conditions. We need to schedule enough time for taking care of our body. For example, we can decide to exercise 30 minutes every day, to take a short walk in our neighborhood once every couple of days, to eat more fresh fruits and vegetables, spend more time connecting with our partner, go hiking at least once a month, and so on. Your body is your temple. It is your delicate machine which must be properly taken care of every day. It is the base of your entire life and, according to Nietzsche, even the base of your intelligence and spiritual life. Number 6. Master your heart. Nietzsche advises us that one ought to hold on to one's heart, for if one lets it go, one soon loses control of the head too. Nietzsche was one of the smartest men of his time. He was a well-known professor at Basel and the youngest one ever to take such a position. He was a prodigy, a great intellectual. However, his romantic life was not so happy. Nietzsche had never married or had a known relationship with any woman, and at the age of 44, he went mad after allegedly seeing a horse being whipped in the Italian city of Turin, saying to it, "I understand you." His collapse in Turin might have been as a consequence of his contracting syphilis. The only thing we know for sure about his love life is that he was infatuated with Lou Salome, the young and brilliant Russian woman who later became a known figure of feminism and of psychoanalysis, and also with Cosima Wagner, the wife of Richard Wagner. In spite of his failures, he constantly thought about love and marriage, but ultimately he gave more consideration to his work, to his legacy in the field of philosophy. We might never know if he could have had another destiny, if he would have gotten married and had a more balanced lifestyle with not so much solitude. Perhaps syphilis wouldn't have struck him in such a severe way. One has to hold on to his heart not to lose his head, and Nietzsche's life might serve as a counterexample. We can have great ambitious plans for our career, but it's important to give enough attention to our sentimental life too. Human affection is transformative and can heal us. If we encounter setbacks in our professional or financial lives, we can replenish our soul with the love of our spouse, of our family and close friends. Otherwise, if we choose a life of absolute solitude, we wouldn't have enough love to protect us when we need it the most. Therefore, it's important to make time to find the right people to join you in your journey. People who respect you and give you love and encourage you to have confidence in yourself. Make a list of all the attributes a partner should have to fulfill your needs for love and affection, and make sure the people who enter your life have these attributes. Mastering your heart means managing your love life and close friendships. It is as important, perhaps even more important, than mastering your finances or mastering the skills needed for your profession. If one loses one's heart, one might lose one's head too. Emotional health sustains the mental health of a person. Number 7. Find happiness in self-mastery. In our final quote from Nietzsche for this video, he says, "The most spiritual human beings, as the strongest, find their happiness where others would find their destruction." Nietzsche's philosophy is considered to have a psychological, but also somehow mystical side, encouraging some severe practices of self-constraint, followed by creating a new self. Nietzsche imagined this new self as an entirely new being, an overman, someone who can overcome his human nature, achieving true freedom. In Nietzsche's view, there are 3 stages of becoming an overman: camel, lion, and child. The camel phase is a symbol of self-control or self-mastery. Before becoming an overman, you need to find the strength to search for the truth, to learn and develop yourself. In other words, you need to experience things, to say yes to learning and self-control. The camel does not endure hardship only to reach an end goal, but also it can find happiness in the journey towards it. These 3 metamorphoses can also be applied on a smaller scale. For example, consider you grew up in a poor family, in a poor country, and you wish to become financially wealthy one day. People around you have 9-to-5 jobs, are working in factories, watching a lot of TV and meeting in bars. In order to reach your goals, you need to doubt this kind of lifestyle, and you need to find other role models. For example, you could read the biographies of the most successful people, and you can find role models on the internet, people who came up from poor backgrounds to achieve high-level success, and you can start working on yourself, copying their strategies. You might give up your free time, give up watching TV or meeting with friends. You might enroll in online courses to learn business skills and join networks of successful people. Others would probably think that you're too hard on yourself when you wake up at 5 a.m. to work out, or when you turn down the offer to hang out with friends and instead stay in to follow an online course. But there is satisfaction in the hardship that drives you towards your goals. And one day, when you complete your learning, you can become the lion who will break their chains, who says no to their previous lifestyle, and who will find their freedom in a completely new one, in achieving their goal, becoming a new person in the end. The child. Becoming a better person requires you to be able to endure the hardship. But as long as you have a clear vision over the end goal, you'll enjoy the process, and you will be able to find happiness in self-mastery. As we said at the beginning, this video was brought to you by NordVPN. Each time you access a website, you start by connecting to your internet service provider, and they redirect you to any websites that you wish to visit, which means they can see and log everything you do online. They may even sell your browsing history to advertisers, government agencies, and other third parties. This risk only increases once you log on to any public hotspot, whether in hotels, cafes, airports, or elsewhere, since anyone with basic hacking skills could access your passwords, credit card numbers, and any other private details you send every time you go online. Here's where NordVPN comes into play. NordVPN protects your information by hiding your IP address and encrypting all the data you send or receive by tunneling your internet traffic through a specially configured remote server. The encrypted data then looks like gibberish to anyone who intercepts it. It is impossible to read. All of us here at Philosophies for Life use NordVPN. The app makes using a VPN super easy. Nord has over 5,200 superfast servers in 59 countries. This means you can watch whatever you want, regardless of your region. You can save your favorite servers, and depending on your usability, you can have up to 6 simultaneous connections. Click on the link below in the description and use our promo code to get a 2-year plan plus 4 months free with a huge discount. Click the link in the description below to protect your online identity today. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to check out our full Philosophies for Life playlist. And for more videos to help you find success and happiness using ancient philosophical wisdom, don't forget to subscribe. Thanks so much for watching.